Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Renetta Gunn Stevens. I am the CEO of Sophisticated Press, and welcome to 30 Days Live with Sophisticated Press. I'll give you a moment to come in. While you're coming in, do us a favor. Tag what state you're from. Also share. Also, follow us on all of our social media platforms. On Instagram, we are Sophisticated Press. On Facebook, of course, we're Sophisticated Press. On Twitter, we are Sophie Press, SOPHIPRESS. And then on LinkedIn, we're actually under my name, Renetta Gunn Stevens. So definitely as you come in, tell us what state you're from and tag and share. I see Deanna Browley from Relax She's Naturals in the house. Welcome. So today we have a good title, you all. We are going to be talking about a question that a lot of us ask people, but I don't know if we really should be doing that, or if we are doing it, I don't know if we're doing it correctly. So we're going to talk about it. All right, Deanna's from Illinois. Whoop, whoop. So today we're going to be talking about the question, what do you think? Right? If you're like me, really, if you lived over 15, 20 years, you've asked somebody in the past, what do you think? Maybe it's been about a hard decision you had to make in your life. Maybe it's been about a movie. Maybe it's been about a restaurant. What do you think? And we go to, someone and we get their opinion on what do we think. The problem comes into play when we're asking people, what do you think? And how much weight we're putting on what do they think. So let's talk about that, and I want you to begin to think about times when you've asked people, what do you think? And was it good information and advice you got, or was it bad? So for those who are going to come in and watch the replay and who don't really know who I am, because we have a lot of new followers, I am a published author of 3 books, A Dad's Redemption, Kingdom Speaking in the Boardroom, as well as 10 Ways to Eliminate Debt by Writing. We also have a pre-order book out, which is titled Push. Now, I've downloaded the first free 2 chapters that you're actually going to get. But next month, the actual book will be available. But Push is short for Promote Until Shipping and Handling Happens. Because how many of you know that it's not that you don't have a good service or a product or a good book for that matter. It's that you're not marketing properly. And so Push teaches you how to market so you can be part of that tribe on the internet that takes picture with all of the box orders and the mail, envelopes. That's trendy now to take a picture like, oh God, I'm just making so much money. And they have these pictures with their orders in the background. We want to get you some of those pictures, okay? So yes, Push, Promote Until Shipping and Handling. If you do not have a copy of that, I do encourage you to get that immediately, because we do talk about Push during our 30 Days Live in October. And why are we doing 30 Days Live in October? Well, that's because it's a part of the Push strategy, right? A lot of clients that I come into connection with, they don't feel comfortable being in front of the video. And we live in a video-centered marketplace now where people don't have time really to read. They don't have time really to check their emails. So they just want to listen to it on the way to work, watch it on the bus so they don't have to look at anybody. You've been that person too, where you're on the bus and you just like this with your headphones on. This is the type of world that we live in now. So 30-day challenge is just to really encourage you to join me, and also for you to see how it's done. It's really not that hard. If you have a product, service, or book, if that's your life, then it shouldn't be hard to talk about you. It shouldn't be hard to talk about what you are a subject matter expert in. And so I just want you to get over your insecurities on how you look, insecurities, or maybe having a bad hair day, and just talk to the people and connect to the people. So let's get into this. What do you think? So two reasons that people ask, what do you think, right? Some people ask, what do you think? Because they really want validation. They really want to tell you what they currently own. And they want you to be like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, you about to do it like that to them? Right? So they'll come in and cut in on you and say, what do you think about this? The danger with that is if you're asking somebody what do they think for validation, you are in danger of them shutting down or speaking negatively of something that you think highly of, because you've given them permission to bring their opinion into the scenario, right? So it looks like this. You look very happy. You're happy and you're like, hey, what do you think about me going to celebrate my 30th birthday in San Diego? Now, let's say that current person that you're asking, what do you think, is afraid of flying. Let's say that current person that you ask, what do you think, has a boyfriend that left them for a girl that lives in San Diego. What do you think they're going to say to that when you say, what do you think? They're going to be like, girl, you going way to San Diego? Or girl, San Diego, why that state? Why that city? Why not another city? Right? So when you're asking somebody, what do you think? You have to really ask yourself, am I asking them because I want validation? Because I want them to tell me that's a good idea? Am I asking them that because I really want their honest feedback? And that's the second reason people ask, what do you think? They either want validation or they really want advice. So let's talk about that. Deanna said, oh, this is so good. I can attest to this. Jesus, great example. I ask people about the name of Relax She's Natural. Right? So Deanna is one of the top 10 natural hair salons in the United States, selected by Essence. And I love her name, Relax She's Natural. And she says, she even asked people, well, what do you think about that name? Right? So here's one thing that I noticed. When you're asking somebody, what do you think? You have to take a few things in mind, right? You have to ask yourself, do they have the same similar variables in your life? For instance, as a married woman, I don't take a lot of advice from single women, because I'm asking you, what do you think? And you don't have the same variables in your life that I do. You don't have a husband. So you're not really responsible to make a decision based off two, like me. You're responsible to make a decision based off yourself. If you don't have children, it's still dangerous for me to ask you, what do you think? Because you're making a response to me based off of just you, versus me, I'm making a decision off of, I got a husband and I got children, right? And so I remember, as an example, my son, he had told me his schedule, because people are going to give you advice off of their experience and their environment, right? So I remember my son, who is 18 now and very in shape. He came to me and he was like, this is my schedule. I got to go to school. I got to get off work. I got to go to school. I got to go to work. And then I got to go to practice for gymnastics from 6 to 9. So he got to go to school at 7 to 4. Go to work from 4 to 6, because he was a gymnastic instructor. And then from 6 to 9, he had to work out. So that was a 7 to 9 o'clock schedule. Immediately, even as his mother, I've been guilty of this. Based on my ability and my physical capacity, oh, son, that's going to be too much for you. See how I put my own experience and my own limitations on him, and he's 18 and full of life and top shape. Oh, son, that's going to be too much for you. What if he would have listened to me? You know, you got to be careful when you go to people and ask them, what do they think? Because they can, even not being malicious, they can say something negative, and it's because they don't have the same variables. They don't have the same experience. They don't have the same capacity as you. Experience is very important. Then you got to find out, are they successful in that subject matter? For another example, we're in the middle of looking for headquarters for a sophisticated press, and we're in the contract stage. And so I have to make sure, when I ask people questions about what do they think about this lease, about this contract, I have to make sure that they have property. Because it would be foolish of me to go to someone and ask them, what do they think? Even if they have a home, but do you have commercial property? because residential and commercial are separate. Now, if I wanted somebody just to know that I was trying to get some commercial property, then I would just go to anybody and say, what do you think? Do you think Sophisticated Press should get a local headquarters in Chicago? And that would be just for somebody to be like, really? You all are really growing? Oh my goodness. I would be looking for validation if I didn't, almost qualify the person that I'm going to ask, what do you think? So I go to people like Relax She's Natural. I go to my other business mentor. He's an older gentleman and he has multiple properties because they have commercial real estate and they have the experience. And this is why it's very important before you ask anybody, what do you think? You need to ask yourself, am I asking this question for validation? Or am I asking this question because I really want expert advice? There's a difference. There is a difference. Another thing you need to check before you ask somebody, what do you think? Do they have the same moral code as you? When you decide that you want to write a book and you have to pay over $1,000+, you can't go to somebody who hasn't written a book and say, what do you think? Do you think I should publish this book? Do you think I should pay this $2,000? If they have not written a book before, they're going to tell you, girl, that's too much money to write a book. Why? Because they haven't written a book. So to my young authors, to my authors that's coming into the field, when you have questions about being an author, you have to go to people that have written a book before. You have to go to fellow writers who have publications, not just people who are writers, but are you a published writer? And if you're a published writer, okay, that could just mean you have a feature in a magazine. Have you put up some money or have someone else put up some money for you to get your book out here? Because if they haven't, surely you can't give me advice on being an author because you're not an author. Another example, I had a friend who had her daughter in private school and she was paying $700 a month easily. Her daughter is so bright. You saw that the $700 was definitely paying off. And you would be amazed how many people told her month after month, girl, I wouldn't be paying that much money when public schools is free. Well, of course you wouldn't pay that much money because we don't have the same moral code. My friend moral code was, I'm going to invest in my daughter so she can have a great chance in life, so she can get scholarships, and I may be paying now for schooling, but when it's time to go to college, I won't have to pay for college. But how many people told her, girl, you crazy. You'll have some money if you ain't pay that $700 a month for your daughter. Why? Because you got to ask yourself, do they have the same moral code when you ask people for advice? Do they believe the same thing you believe? How it says in corporate, how some people steal Post-it notes, staplers, notepads. You got some people who say, ain't nothing wrong with that. And you got other people that'll say, no, that's stealing. You don't steal Post-it notes, pens, notepads. So when you're asking people, what do you think? So far you have to find out, do they have the same experience in that field? Do they have similar variables in their life? You have to ask them, you have to find out, do they have the same moral code? Now the next qualification that you need to figure out before you ask somebody, what do you think? Do they have the same spiritual code? So for instance, by me being a Christian, if I go to a person who's not a Christian, they may have a different spiritual belief, moral code. And I'm not saying that's wrong because everybody I talk to are not Christians. But you have to kind of take that into account too. You know, if they have a different spiritual belief than you, then you have to say, is this the right person for me to ask, what do they think? Because we do it all the time. What do you think? Deanna bring up a good point, which we're going to definitely touch on tonight. What we also have to be careful of is asking, what do you think when God already told you what to do? Put a question mark where God put a period. Right. Do not put a question mark where God put a period. And that's kind of what we do. Right? If you ask somebody, what do you think? You're really saying, I'm giving you permission to kind of help me make a decision. And based on the weight of that decision, you have to be very careful when you ask people, what do you think? The next thing, which is going to tie into what Deanna said, is do they have the same faith level as you? As an entrepreneur, as a publisher, I don't talk business to people who work a 9 to 5. Why would I? You work a 9 to 5. That doesn't mean that you're lower than me. That doesn't mean that I'm better than you. But what that means is you don't understand business. You're working a 9 to 5. So if I come to you and say, man, or if I'm talking about maybe I didn't meet the budget, or if I'm saying, maybe we need to expand, you're not going to really be able to bring a lot of value to this conversation because you don't have a business, and you're not going to really probably understand the pressure and the just the things that I'm going through during that cycle. And so when you go to somebody, you have to make sure they have the same faith level, because there are some people who are Christians. They have the same God. They may even have the same variables. They have a husband, you have a husband. They got kids, you got kids, but they may be on a different faith level than you. And instead of them saying, yeah, you should go for it, they may be like, I don't know. Maybe you just need to, just keep waiting on the Lord. So it's important when you know for a fact, going back to what Deanna said, if God has told you to do something, really, there's no need to ask anyone, what do you think? Because when you're saying, what do you think, you're saying, maybe God didn't know what he was, maybe God wasn't sure. So let me ask a human that God created, what do they think? Hey, Simone, how are you, love? We do it all the time. We do it all the time, even sometimes, and it is a balance to it. And I talk about this a lot. Even sometimes when you are married, right? Sometimes God will tell you to do something, and then you have to definitely bring your husband's opinion to the table. But at the end of the day, when you're saying, what do you think? You have to really say, if you say God said, that's different. Now, if it's just a regular decision you got to make, that's totally different too. But there are a lot of times when God have told you to do something, and then you'll go to somebody and you'll say, what do you think? Right? So I always give people this example with me and my husband. If I take $1,000 and I give it to somebody, if I don't say God said give this person $1,000, me and my husband, we're gonna have a problem, because he's gonna be like, you should have talked to me first, and he's absolutely correct. But if I say, babe, God told me to bless this family with $1,000, my husband is going to be okay with that, because he understands my relationship with God, but he's also seen the manifestation of when you be obedient to God. That's why I rarely say God said, because if I say God said, my husband is going to honor that, and I don't have to really call him and be like, babe, what you think? Because he know if I say God said, it's been a wrap. That's what God said. That's what we're going to do. But if I just do it without, and including him, and I don't put a God said on it, then now it's like, well, you should have talked to me before we did that, this and that. And so that's something that I want a lot of wives and husbands to work on, because I know a lot of people, they'll call me for an author consultation, and they'll talk to me and tell me what God told them to do, and they'll say, oh, well, they're crying, God said do this, and then when it's time to talk pricing, well, let me talk to my husband. See, your husband should already know that you want to be a writer and you want to be an author, and you all should have already looked at pricing with different people. So if your husband weight is that important, then you should have talked to him before you called, right? Because you know that he has to be involved. So you all should have already researched Sophisticated Press or whatever company you're going with. But because that's really what you're doing, you're going to go to him and say, what do you think, babe? And that's fine. But if you know that you are supposed to do that, then get your husband involved before you call people, because it is very important to just make sure when you're asking somebody what do they think, you have to make sure they have the same vision as you. You have to make sure they have experience. You have to make sure they have the same variables in their life. Because sometimes how many Sometimes your husband may not be on the same spiritual level as you, and not to be biased, let's say the husband may be more spiritual than the wife, right? So what do you do in a situation like that when you're more spiritual and God is talking to you and saying, this is what I want you to do, and you got to go to somebody who's kind of not on the same level as you and say, babe, what do you think? Like, for instance, this is really important, like because when me and my husband, we would go through things like this where, okay, babe, with the tithes, what do you think? It was times when I was on a higher level as him, and so, babe, I got to pay this for tithes, and he like, really? But he would be like, okay, and he would trust me, and I would pay the tithes, and he would see the protection and the resources. But that's just a great example of when you're going to somebody who doesn't have the same level of faith, who doesn't have maybe the same spiritual code, moral code, experience, or variables. You have to be careful, and you have to really ask yourself, am I going for validation, or am I going for really good advice? So we have some comments here. After God has spoke, I learned to speak with my husband. Yes, Deanna Bradley from Relax She's Natural. Chastity said, yes, ma'am, that's the first stop. Absolutely. And so, yeah, so here's the solution to all of that. Instead of asking somebody, what do you think first? I want you all to start asking, have you ever experienced? See the difference that's going to set you up for? That's going to kind of pre-qualify them. Because what if they were married and now they're single? You don't want to just think they don't have any information because they're single now. But if I say, have you experienced marriage before? Or let's say, like we gave the example of the 9 to 5, have you experienced entrepreneurship? Because they could have a 9 to 5, but maybe they've had businesses before, right? See how that changes? Where I'm kind of pre-qualifying you and not just assuming because you're not married now, you can't help me with marital advice, or because you're working a 9 to 5, you can't help me with business advice. Chantany says, men are the head of the household, women are the gatekeepers, keep them in the loop. Absolutely, keep them in the loop. So how do you all feel about starting off that way? Have you ever experienced? Right? Have you ever experienced? See how that changed the dynamic of the weight of the opinion? Because if I say, as a married woman, again, I don't talk to a lot of single women about what do you think. So if you say, have you ever experienced marriage? That'll give me a chance not to assume that you're just single and you've never experienced marriage. Have you ever experienced commercial property? Have you ever experienced publishing a book? Have you ever experienced financial increase? Because that's what we do. A lot of us, we just go to anybody and ask them, what do we think? Because they're our friend. And it's like, if they haven't experience these things, and again, if they don't have a husband or if they don't have kids, I'm telling you, they are going to have a different opinion than you because they don't have the same variables in their life. And it's not that they're bad advice givers. It's just that you only can make a decision and give feedback on what you've experienced. So if you don't have a husband, if you don't have children, if you don't have a business, if you never published a book, if I come to you and say, hey, I want to publish a book, what is a book? Girl, I can know so much I can do with that $1,500 to publish a book. Girl, I can get my yard done, or I can fix my credit. What? They not. You see the difference? So that is my solution. I want you to, instead of asking people, what do you think, say, have you ever experienced? Find out if they experienced it before you ask, what do you think? Because if you go to the wrong person with your inquiries, and if it's not wise counsel, they can really turn you into doubting yourself, doubting what God said. If God truly have told you to do something, don't even ask for permission, don't even ask for validation. And I know part of the 7 needs of human beings is recognition and validation, but we got to be careful because God is a jealous God. And if he told us, to do something, it's because he wants to give something to us and that he has already planned for us. Yes, Deanna. Yes, mindset. Champion said mindset is different Deanna say, have you ever experienced? I love it. So let me just show you all some real quick updates really quick. This is our new baby Sophisticated Press 2020 calendar. It's called the Author's Calendar. Every month you're going to have some points to ponder on, how to help you push. It gives you, and it's really a lot of our past social media posts. It gives you free websites for your picks. We want you to consider having the Sophisticated Press author calendar. We also want you to consider letting us create this calendar for you to give to your clients. I think it's a great gift for Christmas to wow your clients, and just to kind of distinguish your company. So we definitely want you all to consider purchasing the 2020 calendar for yourself and then creating one for your business. Any questions out there too, you all, because we have a great group of women here. We got Sonya B Fitness in the house. She's a fitness trainer. She's a mobile fitness trainer. She's also a virtual fitness trainer. And I love Sonya B Fitness because I always say she'll get you fit for your destiny. A lot of us, we only get fit when it's time for the summertime to come. But how many of you know, with God's assignment on our life, we got to be fit all year long, because the most important thing that God needs on this earth is a body. He needs a body. The same way the enemy used bodies to do evil, God needs bodies to do his will on earth. And so the most important thing that you can give God is your body, so that you can do his will on earth. Any questions? We have such a great group of people here. And I'm going to be back on with Imani at 8 o'clock. I'll be on her page, Imani from Oakland. And she's going to be doing a live or something like that. But any questions about Push? This is the free download you're going to get until the book is out. If you haven't ordered Push, order Push. Chanthony, she has a book out in pre-order called The Pitch Black Before the Breakthrough, and I love that title, The Pitch Black Before the Breakthrough. So definitely support her. But any questions, any experiences you had when you ask somebody what do they think and it didn't turn out good, or what do you think and it turned out right? Any experiences you all want to share? Where do you order? Which one at, Sonya? I'm checking the replay for some great content. All right, thank you. And I just really appreciate how, God is just bringing us all together here because, we need each other. We need each other. So definitely if you have any products or services, drop your websites in on the comments so that we can support you, so that we can, kind of become part of each other's network. If you got a book out, put that link in. Deanna has a book out, which is called the Relax She's Natural, the reintroduction. And can I just tell you all, let me give you all some really up-to-date testimonies. God is really promoting people who are publishing these books. And this is why we always say every business should have a book and every book is a business. When I tell you, people, after they have published their books, that they are getting speaking engagements, they are getting radio interviews, magazine features. They're now being able to mentor people and make money as consultants and mentors. They're able to now be on TV shows. All because, and people say, well, really a book do all that? Yes, really a book does do that, because it distinguishes you, because everybody is not publishing a book and everybody is not investing in you. And it's something about somebody who invests in themselves. You kind of teach people and show people, I'm different. The information that I'm giving is important. And it's so important that I invested and put it in a book, right? So I know some people say, well, I don't think a book is really going to change all that. I'm telling you, I published this baby right here, this ugly book. This was the book that changed my life. See how ugly it is? And I'm going to get to why I'm calling it ugly. Because I was just being obedient. God, I was trying to do one book for my birthday. People would say, oh, I love the content. It was Kingdom Speaking in the boardroom. But they would say, but the book cover is really bad, right? But it's okay, because God just wanted to see was I going to do it. Now, once I knew better, I did better. And I got a professional graphic designer to revamp it. But still, when I did this book, Kingdom Speaking in the Boardroom, my boss, I walked in, I actually had dedicated it to her, and I walked in and I showed her that her name was in the book. That was when I was in corporate. And do you know, within the next week, I was an interim manager? Why? Because I instantly got distinguished between everybody else that was on the flow of 100 people, because she seen I was able to start a project and finish it, and she saw that I was able to invest in myself. That's what this ugly book spoke to her. Oh, she's different. She's a leader. She's not ordinary. She's extraordinary because she wrote a book. And this book, my first book, was only 30 pages. Look how skinny that is. But this book changed my life because it showed God my obedience. It showed my manager that I was a leader. And it added acceleration to my life. And now I'm a full-time entrepreneur being a publisher. So Deanna said, what I would advise is don't be a people pleaser when asking the question, God just freed me of this. Be sure in the word that God has given you. Know that you are sufficient, and people can only give you their experience. Absolutely. People can only give you their experience. Erlene say, I have been putting this off. Thanks for this push. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. And Erlene, I want you to pre-order the book Push today. It's only $15.99. I made it affordable for you all. You're going to get the first 2 chapters free. And these first 2 chapters is going to get you on the right page and on the right foundation, because a lot of people, after they publish their book, they're having problems with marketing. And we want your book to be successful. So make sure you get Push, okay? So you can learn how to market properly. Deanna put her link there. But yeah, you all, I this ugly book changed my life. This was my first book. And I was just trying to do it all because God said, I said, Lord, I'm turning 40. I want this to be a birthday gift to myself. And that's when he told me he wanted me to be a publisher. But before then, I was supposed to be a writer and an author for 3-4 years. So I really put it off for 3-4 years, being obedient to God. And it really just delayed me having a life that I have now. Okay. And then Chanthony said, had I listened to others, my book would not have made it to publication. See? Yeah, because people can only give you their experience. And if they're not used to investing in themselves, if they're not used to going for it, that's that faith level. If they don't have the same faith level, they're going to tell you to wait. Like, for instance, how many of you know we're going to spend so much money on Thanksgiving? And I said we're going to spend so much money on food. We're going to spend so much money on Christmas. And sometimes we don't even, I remember one year saying, when God blessed me with my house, and that was a faith walk, I remember telling my kids, this house is their Christmas gift. You want some toys or you want your own bedroom? What you want, right? Tell me what you want. Because I can get you some Christmas toys, but then you're going to still be cramped up. So I just want you all to think about our money, how we're spending it, how we are investing. I didn't go to my kids and say, what do you think? Should we not move into the house, or should we stay cramped up? Because again, remember, like we talked about yesterday, when God told me, we talked about yesterday about following up. When God told me that he wanted me to be a publisher, you guys, I was in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 kids. Do the math. It was me and my husband in a bedroom and 3 kids in 1 bedroom. And I went to Millions Conference with Tiffany Montgomery in Atlanta. I was a vendor, and I sold this ugly book in Atlanta because God was moving in my life. And I got a prophecy. We was doing this exercise where you had to hold the person's hand and they talk to you, right? And immediately that lady, we had to hear what God was saying, and then we had to tell each other. And while I was there and my kids was at home cramped up, the lady said, you're moving. She said, you're moving when you get back to Chicago. And she really told me I'm supposed to live in Atlanta. And I still have to be obedient. But let me tell you, God is so merciful. Look at this, y'all. I tabled the Atlanta part, but still came home and started looking for a house. When you listen to God, he'll put an acceleration on that thing. But and so I'm just saying, like, you can't go by what your environment look like when you have to do things. Because when God told me that I was going to be a publisher, I was in a 2-bedroom apartment. So I asked my husband, what do you think? What do you think? I got a prophecy, a word from the Lord that when I got back, we was moving. My husband didn't believe in it. He was like, I ain't trying to hear that. We didn't fill out applications. We didn't ask for financing. Everybody keep turning us down. They want us to have this much in the bank. I said, but this time God said. God told this lady, and she said, we moving. Right? And boy, when I tell you, if I would have listened to even my husband, and he know it's the truth, tell the truth, shame the devil, I would still be in a 2-bedroom apartment. You hear me? You better hear me. I would still be in a 2-bedroom apartment. But even when my husband didn't believe, because I was on a different spiritual level, I began to go make appointments to look at houses. I began to just look at houses regardless of all of the denials I had. I had a word from God that God said, and I didn't need to care what my husband thought, what nobody thought. God said I was moving. I went, looked at this house, got in the house, talked to the realtor. They began to say, oh, I said, lady, I don't have no money. My credit not good. This was at the time my credit was not good. I don't have it. I said, this is a faith walk for me. I'm here off of a prophecy. I told the lady this. I'm here off of prophecy. But I tell you what, if you give me this house, I will honor it. I said, if you give me this house, I'll honor it. And if you don't give me this house, I'm going to pray that whoever gets this house will honor it. She began to say, yes. Shantini said, come down here, ATL is waiting. I am coming. I got to do it at least a year because that was the full prophecy that I'm supposed to go to Atlanta. Simone said, obedience is key. And Shantini said, God moved on your behalf because your faith activated his hand. It did. I told the lady, I said, listen, I'm here because God said. No other reason. I went to the most expensive suburb in Illinois. Imagine that. The same suburb that I graduated from college from. Let me tell you something. God never forgets your prayers. So that's why it's important for you to pray. Not think, but pray and tell him the desires of your heart. I remember driving through this area, this suburb that I live in, to go to my college. And I remember saying it would be a dream come true if I could ever get a $500,000 house. Y'all better hear me good today. I prayed that going to school many a days in that area. Oh, if I could live here where all of the houses here is minimum $350,000. If I could live here one day, that would be a dream come true. Lo and behold, that's where the house was located. By the time me and the lady got through talking, she said, okay, we're going to have line service for you, and they're going to be here every Wednesday. Y'all, I get line service every Wednesday. Come on now, y'all. You talking about somebody who was living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 kids and off of a prophecy. I came home and asked my husband, what do you think? He did not think that it was possible. Oh, but God said. So I'm finna go. She said, she said, hey, before every Wednesday, the line people gonna come. Oh, then this is how I knew that God had fixed it for me. She said, call me if they don't show up. Now, if you say call me if they don't show up, that means I'm going to be in this house because I'm going to have to call you if they don't show up to cut my line every Wednesday. I ain't never had no line, y'all, before until I came into obedience with God. Till I came into obedience with God. So I'm telling you, when you are asking people what they think, sometimes they may not believe it. They may not be on the same faith level as you. But if you know that God said it, you got to be careful when you ask somebody, what do you think? Because what if they've never experienced the goodness of God? What if they've never experienced the acceleration of God? And when you go and you say what you think, you can, how much weight are you going to put on what do they think? Okay? So I really, 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 just had to share that. I wasn't even, didn't even have that plan, but I just had to really share my testimony because I don't want anybody to think that I'm better than them. I'm not better than anybody. It is truly because of God's grace and mercy that he just, he's not a respecter of person, but he is a respecter of faith. God is not a respecter of person. He's a respecter of faith. Chanthony said, oh, you are going to make me run through this apartment. I'm still standing for our house. God spoke it and I believe his word. Yes. Let me tell you, it can happen. It can happen, not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit of the Lord. He will go before you and prepare the realtor's heart for you. He will go before you, and there's an empty house waiting for you and your family. And I believe that, and I decree that in Jesus' name. This year, by God's Spirit, because it happened for me. So I'm speaking from experience. Like, that's that crazy face. I don't know if you all have, most people know, like the Todd hits Michael Todd sermons that he got, the crazy face. That's that crazy face where you just like, God, I don't got the money even for a down payment. At the time, I didn't have the money for the down payment. But when God started making a way, then he started opening my eyes on how I had the money. Oh, you got 401k. Oh, you got this. I didn't even ask one family member for help. I went right to my 401k. Okay, yeah, I've been putting this 401k all these years. Now she done told me I'm getting this house. Let me go to my 401k and pull this $5,000 out. Right? So sometimes we can't see, and sometimes doors don't open until our presence is there. Just like when you walk in a grocery store, you're looking at the door when you get out your car, but the door's not opening for you because you're still too far away. But the closer you get to the grocery store door, then because your presence is there, it opens for you. But while you in your car, getting out the car, looking at the door, it ain't opening for you. Why? Because you're not close enough. So we got to just keep getting closer. Keep just believing God, trusting God. And this is the last thing, because I just remember, this happened to me yesterday. I heard them saying, that the enemy will approach you when you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, right? It's halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Don't make decisions out of desperation. If you are desperate, if you are hungry, you're angry, you're lonely, or you're tired, don't make a decision, because that's when the enemy wants you to make a decision. When you're hungry, when you're angry, when you're lonely, when you're tired. Take time to rest and regroup. Take time to rest and regroup. I was going through some things and I realized that I was tired. I knew I was tired because my husband said he was tired, and I said I was tired. And I told him, literally, I sent him a text, come home. Why? Because you tired and I'm tired, and we're going to make a bad decision because we tired. And we can't make decisions when we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, because we're going to make decisions out of desperations, right? So, yes, don't listen out of lack. Exactly. Do not listen out of lack. So that's what I have for you all today. Thank you all so much for engaging. It's been such a great live. This is day 3 of 30 days live in October. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We have a different subject every day. So if you haven't seen the first 2, go back and watch that. Again, if you haven't ordered Push, make sure you order it. It is definitely, you're going to get a free 2 chapters. Thank you, Chanthony. To God be the glory. I just knew that somebody on this line needed to hear that. So, you know how we end it here at Sophisticated Press. Listen, you all, we love you so much with the love of Jesus Christ. We are so proud of you, and we know you can do it. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night. See you tomorrow, ladies, okay?